Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Another game from round 9 of the European Individual Chess Championship 2015. Being played in Jerusalem. Big tournament. This is a hell of a game here. Two top players. David Navara is white from the Czech Republic, top player in the world. And Nepomniachtchi from Russia is black, another top player. These guys are fighting for first place, so this is a big deal. So let's get to it. Navara is white and Nepomniachtchi is black. It's going to be a symmetrical English. Pawn takes, knight takes, pawn, knight takes, b-pawn takes. Now on the computer it shows last book move. Interesting. Queen to c7. David decides to move the bishop to b2. Knight. I'm not sure if I black off the light squared bishop first, but hey, Nepomniachtchi didn't ask what I thought. The computer does suggest knight to c6 instead, and then bishop b2. After knight to d7, queen comes up, e6, make room to get the dark squared bishop out so black can castle. c4, breaking one of the cardinal rules, moving the same pawn twice in the opening, but oddly enough, the computer calls for that. Second best move is bishop d3, which I kind of like too, to be honest with you. Bishop here, and then when this pawn moves, you'll have both bishops bearing down on the black king side. c4, b6, he's going to fee and kettle that bishop anyway and leave the knight. a4, bishop, a5. Kind of a minority attack set up. He's trying to disrupt black's pawns. Computer likes b takes, a5. I really don't, to be honest with you. Or f6. f6 is the choice from Nepomniachtchi. Now bishop. He just reversed the move order from the computer. Comes out the same. Bishop d6. Decides to move the queen. Now this temporarily stops black from castling. As you're going to see, you can see, of course, that this pawn isn't free if black castles on the king side. f5. Well, it's pretty foregone conclusion now. I'm not a big fan of that, to tell you the truth. Computer likes b takes, which I don't care for either, because it disrupts his pawns. King e7 or rook b8. To tell you the truth, I think king e7 was definitely worth looking at. But he went f5 anyway. It's about a point advantage now for white. Knight to g5. That knight's in a good spot. Bishop takes g7. After rook, bishop c3, rook takes g2. Now, I wouldn't have cared for that very much, to be honest with you. And I can see why Navara didn't go for that. After knight to g5, knight to f8. God, this just looks miserable for black here. On move 14 and you're already suffering. It's got to be terrible, especially when you're trying for first place. And I might add, the European Championship. Big deal. If you had gone king to e7 instead, and then f4. After knight to g5, knight f8, he goes f4 anyway. So either one of two things isn't going to happen. Either neither going to castle, or white's going to castle on the queen side. We're going to have to see. h6 to kick the knight. Knight goes back to f3. Knight goes to g6. He's getting his pieces up. h4. Get things going here. Computer still likes b takes a5. I don't care for it. Or castle short. Or rook g8. He decided to castle long. And I tell you, the computer didn't like that at all. Gave it a question mark. It's an almost 2-point advantage now. So here you are, move 17. And Nepomniachtchi, who's a great player. You're fighting for the European Championship. And you're playing David Navara. And you got this crappy position. Man. Anyway, a5 takes, pawn takes. Disrupts the queen side a little bit, but I think black's castle king is okay. But David decides to go for it. Now rook, king to f2, rook a3, bishop e2. He takes, bishop takes. the pawn. Now we all see, of course, if pawn takes, queen takes check, and he loses the knight. So knight takes, he moves the bishop. If pawn had taken, e takes, queen takes check, queen d7, queen takes, rook takes. Would have been much better. A small advantage now for white. White's up a pawn, but I think black can hold. So bishop to e4 was the correct move. After bishop takes, queen takes, knight checks. We all see why the queen can't take. Queen takes, rook checks, losing the queen. King e2, knight takes, rook h to b1. Now, it looks like black's recovered a little bit. I mean, it's not great by any means, but I think he might be able to hold. We'll have to see. Rook. I'll tell you, I probably would have got spooked and moved king to d7, but that kind of sucks too. Moves the rook over. If you had played knight takes c4 instead to give you an idea, queen takes, I don't know, might be worth considering. We'll have to see. Rook e8, rook takes b2, queen b7. All right, the material's even. He's trying to get the queens off the board, of course. But David wants none of that. Bishop c7, he's got to guard that pawn on b6, which is now backward. Rook a to b2. Bishop b8. Plays rook to a8. Interesting. It's an almost 2-point advantage still. Can black hang on? Rook d7 is the computer suggestion, and king to c7 just to get the king out of that pin. But he decides to go rook to d6 instead. Obviously he wants to move the queen, he wants the rook to guard that pawn, and now it's an over 3-point advantage. We're going to move 27, so I doubt if he was in time trouble. In fact, I remember watching it on live stream. If you go to livestream.com and punch in European Individual Chess Championship, you'll see the prompt come up, and click on it, and it will show all the rounds. And two commentators were saying this is the first time they've ever seen Nepomniachtchi with less time than his opponent. He very rarely gets in time trouble, apparently. Rook down now. I mean, what to do, what to do. He's got to take. Rook takes, bishop takes. All right, is the end of Western civilization? 2 rooks for a queen? No, not really. Can he hang on from this? It's a 2-point advantage, and it was 3. Maybe he can hang on. Knight to e5. Computer likes rook d7, bishop b8. But he plays rook e to d8, which I think is a natural move. And the computer question marked that. I don't see a problem with it. But he goes d3 to stop from the rook takes, because of the fact that the knight's guarding it. And eventually, if he has to, he can move the queen here or here and guard the knight. Rook f8, trying to get the other rook in the open file. g4. How's that rook going to enter? Can't get in. Bishop b8. Queen h1. Rook to f6 is the computer's choice. I'm not sure what to do there. Probably stops the rook to h6. Or excuse me. Yeah, rook to f6, excuse me. Probably stops the knight from getting in later. h5. G takes. Sacrifice the pawn to get some activity, but it's still too little, too late. Knight to g6. The knight gets in. Rook f7. Queen e4. Now the rook goes to f6 again. Knight e7. Check. King has to move. Rook h7. Navara is playing this beautifully. Rook f7. Knight g6. e5. I mean, what's he going to do here? e5 is also the computer suggestion. Either way, he's screwed. Knight takes. Rook e7. Knight g6. It's just miserable for him. Rook over. At least get some power. Knight to f4 takes care of that easy enough. And right now, believe it or not, it looks like it's a lot closer. It's less than a pawn advantage now for white. We're on move 42. Nepomniachtchi passed the time control, so he's not in time trouble. Computer likes g5, and I do as well. Granted, the knight can check after that, but goes king to b7. Double question mark. Big mistake. The queen goes to f5. Bishop c7. e4. I think he might have had a chance to draw it. It just slipped away. The pressure got to him. b5. Knight to d5. Beautiful spot for that knight. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. Rook d8. Now let's look at this. It doesn't look that bad for black, but it is. It's an over 5-point advantage. It's just miserable for him. He can't move. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to go? e5. Here comes the pawn. Rook e8. When your rook's in prey and your best move, knight takes, king takes, queen f7, check. It's over. King to d8. Now here's an interesting move here. See if you can find it. Find basically the winning move for white. It's going to go around all day moving those rooks. Can black draw? What's the winning move? Stop the video now and find the winning move. Navara had to do calculation on this. Long calculation. Queen takes, check. Winning move. King takes, pawn takes, king d7, king comes up. King takes, king e4. What's he going to do? He's doomed. He can't do anything. Goes king e6, he goes king f4. Goes king f6, he goes king g4. And he's stuck. What has the opposition? It's that simple. My understanding from the commentators is after the game, Nepomniachtchi just basically stormed out. He thought maybe he had a chance to draw it. And David figured out that this king-pawn ending is losing. And let's give you an idea. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if let's play this out a little bit for those of you that were wondering. King e6, king f4. Even if he comes over, he goes king g4. Where's he going to go? Goes to e6. King comes up. This is a good lesson for the king pawn ending people. So he goes king f7. There's a lot of things he can do here. h6. What does say he plays king f5? What's he going to do? King's got to back off. King g6. That's probably what I would do. But king e5, the computer likes. I'd probably just do this. King goes to f8. White goes h6. Pawn takes. King takes. Can't win. Black's got to take care of this pawn here. And white gets this pawn and queens. So there you have it, folks. Tough game for Nepomniachtchi. David Navara pulls out a good win. He had a winning position, and he miscued a little bit, and Nepomniachtchi came back. We've all done that. We've been so pressed and so pressed and so pressed that we finally get out of the jammer and we let our guard down and we miscue, and that's what Napo did. Anyway, folks, that's the other game from round 9. I hope you enjoyed it. And as I always say, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.